Let's talk about the whole issue of home ownership and the role that attorneys play in this as well.
Well, I mean, they definitely play a large part in home ownership. They actually do the closings
Right.
for everyone, and that's super essential, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, they go over and provide title insurance for the buyers, and talk to them about the do's and don'ts and so forth. I'm guessing, and we'll hear from Deborah on that and all
right.
those details.
Speaking of that, and we're going to talk about title insurance as a matter of fact, our guest this afternoon is...
Yes, it's Debra Whaley. She's actually one of our business partners. She has her own firm, Debra Whaley Attorney at Law.
Outstanding. And Deborah, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's talk about this in relationship to real estate. I know that real estate law is a refined form of law. It's not something that not a lot of attorneys don't get involved in it for a variety of reasons. Why is that?
It is a very niche area of law.
Okay.
So you do have to be prepared to understand and know how to search title on the public record with the county, and then just understand and go through the entire closing process, whether it's a cash closing or whether it's a loan closing involving a bank.
And in many instances, knowing on firsthand experience, by the way, and I'm sure that this is true in many instances, Sheree, the loan closings don't always go as planned.
That is very true. So, and that can be for a number of reasons.
Right.
It could be appraisal issues, or it could be a title issue, which leads us into the title insurance.
Title
scenario.
insurance. All right. What exactly is title insurance?
So title insurance is a policy that insures the owner and or the lender, if there's a lender involved, against unknown or unforeseen defects in title. And this could be a number of different possible defects.
What would you describe as a defect?
So a defect in title could be an error in the legal description. Perhaps the wrong lot number has been carried through various deed exchanges through the years. It could also be something as an unknown or unpaid deed of trust. Somebody's mortgage from a past owner maybe is still showing up in the chain of title. It could also be an unknown heir that has come out of the woodworks after the fact, claiming an interest in a property. I actually have a story about that.
Oh, good, because that is scary.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. So I am dealing with some clients right now who purchased property it's two different sets of clients, but it involves the same set of heirs. One was purchased over a year ago, maybe another one a year and a half or 2 years ago. And we've closed. We had clear title. We secured title insurance as part of the closing. Just this month, some heirs have come out of...
No.
Yes, and are laying claim to the deceased property, which would include this property that was sold. In this scenario, they were adoptive children of the deceased that are now laying claim to the property. And in North Carolina, adopted children are considered heirs just as if they were biological children. So this is now something that'll work its way through the title insurance claim process.
Wow.
All right, we're talking with Debra Whaley, and we've got Sheree Higgins here with Real Estate Corner. And, this is an issue I can well appreciate now, Sheree. We've talked about the role that realtors play in this, but there are so many twists and turns.
Right.
A perfect example.
That's right.
This is something that I'm going to say comes out of left field.
It does.
All right. Yeah. Does the title insurance, what does that cover? How does that handle a circumstance such as this where you have an heir who is laying claim to property? They've not been compensated for it. how does title insurance work in that case?
So in this scenario, the heirs, of course, have reached out to all the parties involved. They have an attorney, and they are wanting, of course, their rightful portion of the proceeds that were made from the sale of that property.
Got you.
So ideally, that would be the other sellers who have sold the property. But to get to that point, they have to involve the current owners of the property as well. Right. And then the current owners of the property will file what is called a title claim on their title insurance. The title insurance company then secures the legal counsel to handle the title claim and how this will pan out.
Okay.
I'm sitting here because, for example, and I can tell you of a similar situation, and I say it with a little bit of a twist, where the heirs of a family did not realize that they had half siblings.
Yes.
In other words,
yes.
the father or the mother had been
Yes.
previously married,
Right.
but the children did not know that. They
That's-
did not know that there was issue
Issues.
from that previous marriage. None of this, and everybody is, for all intents and purposes, innocent,
That's right.
except the fact that the adults in the picture never bothered to share with the family the full extent of their,
Yes.
their siblings.
That's correct. And I believe that's the situation here as well. No one knew of the existence.
We're talking with Debra Whaley, and again, with the law firm. She has a law firm in Carteret County. By the way, let's talk very quickly. If somebody's trying to get hold of you, Debra, what would be the best way? Obviously by phone, I'm sure.
Yes. So my office phone number is 252-222-4555. We are local here to Carteret County. My office is in Morehead City.
Okay. Debra Whaley, an attorney at law. All right, Debra, I asked you the term defects. And of course, the other defect that you mentioned, and one I can appreciate, the incorrect lot number.
Yes.
Or maybe we can get into a survey as well. In those instances, in the case of the state we just talked about a few moments ago, that's a dollars and cents issue.
That's right.
However, in the case of a lot line or a number, that's a physical defect.
That's right.
I'll use that term. Is there a way to remediate that or correct that situation? Because I've purchased this half-acre lot. Well, you've just informed me that, or I've just discovered, it's not a full half acre. It's maybe shy a couple of 100 feet of a half acre. But now, all of a sudden, the documentation is there that the survey was wrong or some physical defect occurred. How do you remediate that? And is that something that title insurance covers as well?
Yes, so title insurance could get involved in that area as well. So if it's a situation, something as simple as maybe just a typographical error, that is something that normally the closing attorneys can handle with involvement of the title insurance companies who previously insured the property to hopefully resolve and just have that corrected before you even get to the closing table.
Okay.
If it is something that has come up after the fact, then title insurance would need to be involved on how to solve the problem.
Wow. This whole issue of title insurance, and of course, the issue of title insurance, that the insurance company is looking for a lot of documentation. Let's go back to that.
Yes.
Do the insurance company, does the title insurance company do its own research? What's the process there?
So in North Carolina, we are a little different from some states.
Okay.
So North Carolina is an attorney closing state where the attorney is doing the title search. So we actually search the title with the county, and then the way we obtain the title insurance for the clients is we actually submit a title opinion to the title company, and they then issue the policy insuring the title for closing.
Okay. But you're reliant on documentation at the courthouse, the Register of Deeds, the clerk of court, where...
That's right.
And also survey information that maybe is going all the way to Raleigh. However, there may have been a defect in there that how can you find it.
So, and that's what's important about title insurance, is because it does kick in and helps insure over those unknown defects. Maybe something we could not find, maybe something we couldn't discover, maybe something that's gone undiscoverable for years and has never been discovered. We did a search one time where the lot number was 235, and in the prior 4 deeds it had been 253. They had just transposed the numbers. That is something we could discover and we could fix.
But there are situations, and I can point directly to a circumstance that I know firsthand, where a town had changed the designation or the numbering system and never kept up with it.
Yes, we see all sorts of issues. So, yeah.
Because suddenly there's a road that's dedicated, or for that matter, you have easements. Let's talk about that. Easements are part of the problem, are they not?
Yes. So we, as part of the title search, we are looking for access easements to make sure that people have access to the property. We are looking for easements that could possibly allow somebody to have a fence encroachment on a property. And those are also things that also go undiscovered. So there are people who through the years have thought they had an easement to the property, but when you go to do the title search, there's not a recorded easement, or there's not a recorded fence agreement or something like that on record. So
we're talking with Debra Whaley. Now all of a sudden, Sheree Higgins here as well, Executive Director of the Association of Realtors. Sheree, obviously, as I'm listening to this from the perspective of the homeowner or the home seller or the property owner, property seller, this gets my attention. I'm assuming realtors think this way too, that they're saying, okay, do you have realtors that suddenly, when they suggest, for example, and I'm going to get to this question with you on this one, Debra, that, hey, you know, title insurance would be a good thing. Do property owners sometimes say, wait a second, why do I need insurance?
Oh yeah, I'm most positive they do, and I hope our members, you know, tell them, if anything, defer to your attorney, and they can explain why title insurance is very important, because as you can see, it truly is, definitely.
Okay, when I buy title insurance, am I paying one premium? I know that when I bought my property, I had title insurance. I paid a premium. That was it, one time.
That's right. So that's a very good question. So in North Carolina, we are a one premium state. So what that means is when we order the title insurance for closing, we may have a buyer that is getting a loan.
Right.
When we order the policy, we are ordering both the owner's policy and the lender's policy at the same time, and it's one premium. So the owner's portion of that premium covers the owner's title insurance. They pay that one time when they purchase the property, and that policy is good for as long as they own the property. They do not renew it. It's not a renewable policy.
Okay. If I have a piece of property and I have title insurance on it and I sell it, does my title insurance go with that property, and or does it somehow enhance, and I'm thinking from the perspective of the realtor on this case, Sheree, does it enhance or ease the burden for the actual transaction? In other words, the buyer saying, oh, okay, Sheree is selling the property. She has title insurance on it. It gives me a sense of comfort as a purchaser.
It does, and it does help ease the process slightly. So we can take that current owner's policy and we can do what's called tacking, and we tack onto their policy to get the new owner their new policy. So we're still searching title, but we're only searching title from that policy to the current day. And you can also get what's called a reissue rate for the new owner. It is a slightly discounted rate for tacking on to that owner's policy. So very good question.
I know that a lot of people are hesitant to buy insurance. And I'm looking at you, Debra, because you're the attorney, but and I'm going to ask the same of Sheree as well. But it strikes me that of all the documents that we're working with, and I know that you've got the survey, which is going to be part of the title insurance, and register of deeds and things of this nature. This is probably one of, if not the most critical document for both the buyer and the seller. Am I accurate on that?
I do agree. We have buyers. You hinted earlier in asking Sheree the importance of title insurance and how do you make that clear to buyers? We do have buyers who will reach out saying, do I really need that policy? Can I waive that? I don't want to pay that fee. And it is very important to have title insurance coverage.
Sheree?
Well, that was going to be one of my questions, because if there's a lien on the property, is the lender requiring title insurance for the buyer as well too, or just for them?
So the lender will only require a lender's title insurance policy. They're only looking for their loan interest to be protected. And that is a very good point, because the lender's policy, the buyer's paying for that. But it does not protect the buyer. Yeah. If the buyer wants protection, they have to also have their own buyer's owner's policy.
That leads to an even better question. All right, so I've got the lender's policy. Once that loan is finished, cleared off, in essence, that policy is gone.
That's correct. So that policy is only good for the life of the loan period.
And that's it.
And so
and if the
5
buyer
years
didn't get
after
it-
you've paid off your loan, oh, wait a second, Sheree is laying claim to my property? Well, I've got lender's insurance. No,
They
you don't.
That's right. Yeah.
That's correct.
Oh,
And even if the loan policy was still in existence, it's only going to protect the lender. It would not protect the buyer without an owner's policy.
okay. So if only exposure the lender has is $20,000, but you've invested $400,000,
Yes.
then the remaining $380,000 comes out of your pocket.
Wow.
The topic is title insurance, and it's also, Sheree, it's a matter of being able to sleep at night.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely sounds like a must-needed coverage. I was going to ask you, Jeff, if you don't mind, Lockwood,
Sure.
how many people actually decline that? Do you see a lot?
So we do see it from time to time. I am fortunate that I can normally talk a buyer out of it.
Yeah.
Once they hear me and hear what I have to
Right.
say about title insurance, they normally are like, you know what? I'm going to pay for that policy, because you only pay for the premium one
Right,
time,
exactly.
and your owner's policy is there.
And amortize that over the length
Like
of
the-
owning the
right,
property,
yes.
and let alone amortize that over the square foot cost of the property.
That's right.
Right, right.
You're talking
Makes sense.
pennies.
Pennies, that's right. And I have a story that I normally share with all the buyers, and I say, just listen to this story, and it shows you why you need title insurance. And I can share that story if you'd like.
We're talking with Sheree Higgins and also Debra Whaley. Debra Whaley is an attorney in Morehead City, and we're talking title insurance. And we were talking earlier about the importance of title insurance and how you've got some homeowners and I would say sellers too, who apparently have expressed hesitancy about title insurance.
Yes. Yeah, so some buyers just don't want to pay the cost
Let
of the policy.
me go back to the seller on this
Sure.
one. So the seller sells the property. We're talking title insurance and the importance of that. You've done the research on it as best you can, but there's an heir. But wait a second, that heir is related to the sale of the property to the family that is currently selling the property. And the property sale has not taken place yet. Seems to me that the seller at this point is got a problem.
So title insurance is protecting against issues that come up after closing.
Right.
So if we are in the middle of a closing, are preparing for a closing, and we discover a title issue or an error or something of that nature, the current owner's policy is the policy that controls. So the seller's policy would be the one that we would be working with to resolve the title
If the
issue.
seller bothered
if
to
they bought
get
it.
Right, if
right,
they
right,
have a
right.
policy.
Yeah.
I want to go back to just refresh this for this segment here. The purpose of the insurance is to cover the expenses associated with a defect in the title of the property.
That's right.
That defect could be a description, an actual position of the property.
That's right.
And description, of course, would be the meets and bounds, the survey, and so forth. But then you've also got ownership, or you've probably got some instances, maybe back taxes.
Yes, we see that from time to time as
Do
well.
you really?
Yeah. The thing with back taxes, we normally can find that as part of the title search. So normally we're catching that ahead of closing. But we have had instances where, for whatever reason, there have been taxes retroactively added after closing. And that's where title insurance could possibly kick in and assist.
Okay.
Interesting.
Sheree, we're going to get to the story that you were going to share with us here in a moment, Deborah, but I'm curious. We also have an issue of plan developments, homeowners associations, and things of this nature. Does title insurance in any way contribute to that or have any influence on those situations?
Yes and no. So when we do a title search and we're ordering the title insurance for closing, we do report, if there's a homeowners association, we report all of the covenants that govern the association, and that would affect if, there's an encroachment of a garage built over the property line or something like that. So we do report all of those things on the title insurance.
Okay. Debra Whaley and Sheree Higgins. Of course, Sheree Higgins, the executive director of the Carteret County Association of Realtors. All right. Deborah, let me hear that. We're kind of interested in the story that you tell. I'm resisting, or hesitant, shall we say, paying that premium for title insurance. What would you tell me? What's the story?
So the story that I use as the best example of why you need it is about 10 years ago, we had a closing. We did the title search. Everything was clear. We ordered title insurance. The buyer did get title insurance, which is very important here. And about 4 months after the closing, the buyer, the new owners, got home to the property and there was a foreclosure notice on the door.
Oh, no.
And the foreclosure notice was for the seller's, a deed of trust in the seller's name. We did not find it in the title search because it was misindexed accidentally with the county.
Oh, no.
What?
It was just misindexed. It wasn't anyone's fault, really, but it was just misindexed. So when we searched the seller's name, we found one mortgage, but they, in fact, had two mortgages. And we did not find the second one because of an indexing error. The buyer filed a title claim. The title insurance company, they stepped in. They paid that mortgage so that the buyer would not lose the property to any foreclosure. And then the title insurance company's attorney and their team, they then go after the seller to be reimbursed for that.
Wow, what a great
Yeah.
story.
But that's a perfect example
It
of why
is.
you need, because without title insurance, that owner would have been left fighting that battle on their own.
Right.
That's breathtaking. I go back to that comment earlier, and you said North Carolina is an attorney
Closing state.
closing state. So your job is, and we've talked about this many times before, Sheree Higgins, of course, executive director of the Association of Realtors, and we're talking with Debra Whaley, an attorney who does real estate law.
Yes.
So your job is to go through all of those records, and I know that there's an effort to digitize a lot of the records, but as you said just a moment ago, misfiling,
Yeah.
or records that don't get digitized. I mean, you're moving through a lot sheets of paper.
That's right.
So 2 sheets of paper get stuck together and they get scanned. Well, everybody said, oh, all the pages got scanned. Unfortunately, the page underneath the top page did not get scanned.
Right.
And so you may go years.
That's correct. With a possible title defect not being
Until
discovered.
Right, until
Yeah.
you sell the property and then it gets found or something, right?
Or somebody comes... Sheree, this is one of those issues, and again, we're talking with Sheree Higgins, the Association of Realtors. These are the kind of steps that realtors go through with their customers, right? Their clients, and they're talking to them. And of course, then you've got the issue of the buyer's agent, the seller's agent, and they're
Right.
trying to work that together.
Right, exactly.
You've got, it strikes me, Deborah, that the sellers need to be aware that they should have some sort of insurance policy. What happens if, for example, I've owned the property for 10 years but never got title insurance? You said it has to be done prior to closing. Am I correct?
So you can get title insurance after the fact, but your title insurance, you can't get title insurance after you know there's a title defect.
Right.
So, but I have had clients who maybe inherited family property and were told or, heard a podcast or something that said the importance of title insurance, and they've reached out about obtaining a title insurance policy. And you can do that. It doesn't have to be part of closing. It's just traditionally part of the closing process.
A good point. I thank you for bringing that up, because in Carteret County, and particularly in mostly rural communities, you've got property that was owned by families. They've been handed down family to from family members. Yep. And there's always some sort of documentation, but it isn't what I would call clear, definable documentation.
That's right.
Meaning a survey.
That's right.
Showing all the meets and bounds and showing all the details. So there's the potential that family members could get into a dispute.
That's right.
And title insurance, in essence, if somebody has that kind of situation, it would not, in other words, I'm thinking, I've been the beneficiary of major acreage, and I want to subdivide it, or I want to sell it. It wouldn't be a bad idea for me to go out and say, okay, let's codify, I'll use the word codify, the ownership of this property, what it is, describe it, and make sure that it has been, that we've been paying all of our taxes on it.
That's right. Yeah. So I have a client right now who inherited property over 25 years ago, and she is thinking about subdividing and selling, and she reached out to me to do a title search just to make sure that she, all the steps and the paperwork is in place to prove that she inherited it, to prove that she owned it. And if she wanted to, we could obtain a title insurance policy for her. We would have to do a search of, and order the title insurance. But even though she's not involved in a closing right now, we could order that policy for her. And then she would have it to then share with a future buyer that we could then tack onto that policy.
Right. So important.
Sheree, we've talked about this many times before. That's Debra Whaley we were just talking to a moment ago, and Sheree Higgins with us with the Association of Carteret County Association of Realtors. It is, without question, 99.9% of the time, the single largest financial investment that everyone makes.
Absolutely. Emotionally as well, too.
Didn't even think about it, but the emotional side of that is immense.
Yes.
Something as insignificant but significant, insignificant in cost. And I'm going to ask you a question here in a moment. How cost is associated with this? How do you establish a cost? But title insurance is one premium, one time. Once I've got it, as long as I own the property, it's my insurance policy.
That's correct.
Brings me up to two questions. Well, a statement. Sheree, this is something that I'm confident the association is very aware of. Two questions. First, if I have that premium policy, where do I put it? I know that I've got an insurance policy on my property. I don't know if I have it in a lockbox or what. Where, is it recorded somewhere?
So the policies themselves are not recorded anywhere. So the owner does get the original copy.
Ooh.
The closing attorney gets a copy.
Okay.
And the title insurance companies will always be able to provide that.
Okay.
So there are times where we know a seller has a policy, but they just can't find it.
Okay.
So what we do is we call around to various title companies trying to locate that policy for them.
All right. How many title companies are there? Are
There-
there?
There's multiple. So, and through the last 10 years, that's even expanded even further,
Oh,
I
really?
would say. So, yes.
Wow, that's a lot of work. Okay.
Yeah.
What is there some sort of formula based on the cost of title insurance? And it doesn't have to be exact, but I'm just curious, how is it how do you develop
So the best way that I tell people to plan for or maybe budget for, just to kind of have an idea, is title insurance generally runs between $2 to $3 per thousand of the purchase price. That's not an exact, but that's just a good ballpark to how to calculate. The actual rates are set by the insurance commission. And the title insurance, when we order the title insurance, we provide the purchase price, we provide the loan amount, and then the premium is calculated based off that.
Okay, you said something that was very interesting too. The insurance commission. So title insurance companies have to be registered with the state. So they're admitted carriers, in other
Yes,
words.
they are carrier approved
Approved-
carriers.
Okay. Wow. All right. We're talking with Sheree Higgins here on Real Estate Corner. Sheree, Deborah, thank you very much for this. I appreciate this.
Yes.
This is a topic that, the whole issue of insurance, we don't think about this very often.
No, there's so many little nuances in the purchase of a property, and this is just kind of one of them. But look how large it makes a difference. You know, it's very, like you said, significant. So they need to know about it.
That's
definitely,
That's an understatement.
definitely.
And when you look at the cost of buying a home and
Yeah.
what you're paying to buy a home and
Yes.
your down payment and everything goes involved in it, this is just a small amount
Yes.
of that cost. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to your point a moment ago, when you used the term emotional cost, the emotional cost on this is significant.
Absolutely.
Because not only is it the greatest financial investment, it's the greatest personal investment because people actually put themselves into their homes. I mean, the way they decorate them, the way they paint them, and the whole aspect of it.
Yes.
All right, we're talking with Debra Whaley of her law firm. The name of the law firm again is just Debra Whaley.
Debra Whaley, attorney at law.
And that phone number.
252-222-4555.